Okay.
Okay. Now you have you blocked me before.
Good afternoon, sir.
So you came and good afternoon. You saw it?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Thank you very much, sir. We have it
Okay.
here.
Is that okay?
Yes, we have it here.
I hope your connection is good, though.
Yeah, you
Because
can
this
hear
is
me.
your 2G connection.
So I'm using 5G. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you, but it's choppy.
Okay, can
Go
you
and
hear me
buy
now?
5G. Engineer.
No, I have 5G. I'm using 5G.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, this is 5G now. 5G to 5G.
Okay, I think we are good to go.
Okay, Engineer Yekore. How are you, sir?
It is yet to be unmuted. We are going to unmute them in the course of the program.
Yes, we have like 16 people.
Okay, well, I think we are going to start so that if the others are joining, they can join us. A very warm good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to warmly welcome us to the 23rd edition of our regular program Inside the Arena. And we have inside the arena today a very distinguished Nigerian who has traversed the length and breadth of the engineering profession, I can say both vertically and horizontally without any angular deflection. He is a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, a fellow of the Academy of Engineering, a first-class graduate from the prestigious University of Maiduguri. And he has also many other degrees, which we are going to hear today. He is the former DG of NOTAB and also served as secretary to the government of Adamawa State. It's my pleasure to welcome inside the arena a very distinguished engineer, Dr. Umar Buba Bindir, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellow of the Academy of Engineering. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Oga Ben. Good afternoon to everybody.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. And I still remain your host, Engineer Ben O.C. Oko, FNSC. Now, let's first of all to remind us the participants of our rules. Sir, can you hear me? I think
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Clearly.
But your video is paused somehow. I don't know if it is.
Mine?
Your video is not moving. It's static.
Yeah, let me change my network to see.
Okay, are you okay now? Can you hear me? Oh, we've lost that connection. Okay. Can you, let me ask, okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Now let me remind the participants of the rule. We have 3 segments of this program. The first is what we call the direct free kick, where the host is going to direct the questions to the guest. And he will respond to the questions. And the second segment is what we call the corner kick segment. The corner kick segment is the segment where the participants will ask the guest questions. And the third segment is what we call the extra time, where we are going to also ask the participants questions. And the lucky participant that we get the correct answer is going to go home with this beautiful Samsung Galaxy tablet, courtesy of Engineer Bindir. So having said that, we are going to go straight to the direct free kick segment. Okay, once again, you are welcome to the program, Engineer Bindir. Please, can you tell us in a nutshell, who is Engineer Dr. Umar Buba Bindir? Your family background, your academic background, and brief background about yourself. Thank you.
Okay. For that reason,
I think the network is freezing. It's fluctuating.
Screen. Is that okay?
Okay. I think it is, you are trying to share your
Is that okay?
screen.
I've shared my screen.
But yeah, the voice,
answering the question.
yeah, I can see the screen, but it is not showing the voice, or the audio is not clear. Okay, you can go on, sir.
My network.
Your network is sorry about that. We are trying to put everything in good perspective. Okay, you can go on, sir.
So I was asking you whether, if I briefly share my screen to guide me communicate with the participant, is that in order?
Okay, you can, it depends on what you want to share.
Yes. I want to share just the question that you asked.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Ben, for the question. And I welcome all of you, and I thank Ben for inviting me. This is literally my biography. I was born back in 1961 in Yola Town, so I'm now 62 years old, back in 11th of August. That is, I am an August person. This month was my birth month. I was born in Adamawa State, in Yola Town, and I'm a Fulani man from Yola. I went to primary school in Yola. I went to secondary school in Yola. I went ahead to go to University of Maiduguri, where I got my honors, bachelor's honors in agricultural technology in 1983. And I went to do my youth service in Benue State, in Zakibiam, and I was teaching mathematics. So I finished from there. I was then employed as a graduate assistant in the University of Maiduguri. I reported, fortunately at that time, if you're a graduate assistant, you just help lecturers with tutorials of mechanics, mathematics, strength of materials and stuff like that. But you don't lecture very well. You are literally just a graduate assistant. And then I got admission into the Cranfield Institute of Technology. Then it is now Cranfield University in Bedford in 1985. I studied my master's in agriculture machinery, power and machinery engineering, which is the mechanical engineering component of agricultural engineering. I finished in 1987, and then I continued with my PhD in the same university. I specialized in agricultural power and machinery. I did design and development engineering. So I did a lot of the basic things: draw, design, go to workshop, manufacture, test, come up with your whatever. So I got a lot of opportunities there. So I came back to this country from there, I got a job in Wales, in Welsh Water. And what got me the job, which should encourage some of the young engineers, was not the machinery design and development engineering. Surprisingly, was my engineering drawings expertise. I was very good in AutoCAD. I was actually an Autodesk accredited trainer. So that got me the job. And so I was working in a design office for some time. And then I got a job with the Commonwealth universities. And they sent me off to a Commonwealth University in Papua New Guinea, north of Australia. So I worked there until I grew up to become an associate professor. In 1998, my head nearly cracked up. So I was very successful. I was making money. I was well recognized. They were calling me everywhere. And one night I just said to myself, oh my God, my mother in Yola possibly now is living without readily available water, so many grandchildren, so many of my brothers and cousins that would require my help, and see me in Australia totally relaxed. So I based on my, how I started my life, I just said that could not be success. So I packed my things and I came back. Everybody was shocked. Nobody chased me. Nobody sacked me. I just left. So I came back here and I joined the government as a civil servant in the then Family Economic Advancement Program. That was in 1998 during the Abacha time. So I was a director. I started as assistant director, grew up to become deputy director, became director in the presidency. Came as president, at that time, anything Abacha for Obasanjo had to go. Family support left, PTF left, and FIP also left. So I was again jobless, literally. They sacked all of us. But then something weird happened. The government was trying to come up with a poverty eradication program, and there was a workshop. And I was invited to the workshop. I just went and sat down. Hello, Ben.
I can hear you. Go on, sir.
Okay. So um, I, I attended that conference, and the kind of answers that I gave the chairman of the committee, gave me an opportunity to be recognized. Say, oh, Dr. Bindir, you know this, and come and help us at the secretariat. That was how I joined the secretariat of that committee, and that was how we wrote NAPEP. And then I came back to the service to become a director in the NAPEP. That survived. I survived that until 2005. I think Magnus Pakol was the coordinator of NAPEP then. We didn't gel very well. He didn't like people, technical people, telling him what is happening, what to do, and so on. So he kicked me out. So I became the director of sports in the Ministry of Sports and Social Development. So I survived there for 1 year. And then I remember my permanent secretary, Dr. Aliu, was in the Ministry of Science and Technology as permanent secretary. So he went to the head of service and lobbied my transfer from Ministry of Sports to Ministry of Science and Technology. So I went there in 2006, and I survived there until 2009, when an opportunity to become Director General of NUTAP popped up. And then I went to NUTAP 2009 to 2015. Some folks from Adamawa State, after the elections in 2015, came to my office and deceived me to go to Adamawa State to become the secretary to the government to help with technical support. So I went. I survived for 4 years. 2019, we lost an election. And then after that, again, I found myself unemployed. And I became a social entrepreneur. This is a very sexist phrase to say that my NGO was in the heart of Yola. This was what I bought with everything I had. I changed it. I built this facility. I registered an NGO called Bindir International. I tagged it onto the center. Inside, I have a number of halls. This is one of the halls. I had 120 computers donated by an IT company in Lagos. And then I used to actually come and not just computing, but it was not a school. It's just a knowledge center. You can have interaction with my computers. I had a visa donated by Nikon Sat. I had internet connection, so I had children at the age of 5 up to 15 interacting with computers, and on the internet they can print, they can take pictures, they can do all sorts of things. So then I even used to go around and pick the out-of-school children at their buses. I go and Ben, is that me or you?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. You can see my shared screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I used to take these children into my center. Again, a lot of people, good people like you on this platform, donating Scrabble, chess. I used to go to offices and get all these old computers, like the 286, 386, those, they're just packed in the ministries. I'll come and break it with these children. They will see capacitors, resistors. They will see hard drive. We'll break the hard drive. And then somebody gave me an idea that you're putting these children and they're not talking to each other, they're not playing, it's not going to work very well. And structured a badminton and table tennis, and then 5-a-side football. So every evening, I have children with their brothers and so on, they will come and play. And honestly, I was enjoying it, unemployed, but very, very happy. And I found that very, very illuminating, very informing, and morally very, very fulfilling. And it is something that possibly the NSC, maybe Abuja branch, you've already started with water projects, but this type of things with children, I think is a fantastic opportunity. So literally from there, I was doing that. And then I think one thing led to the other. The then chief of air staff, who was my friend, we met on a flight. And he said, oh, Dr. Bindir, why don't you come to the Air Force Institute of Technology and help us evolving this innovation concept, the research and innovation connection. So I was employed as the director of research and innovation at the Air Force Institute of Technology in Kaduna. So I was heading the center when again something happened. The former minister of humanitarian, somebody told her that they said, Dr. Bindir, he's very good with poverty alleviation, blah, 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 blah. So she invited me. I came to Abuja from Kaduna. We were in her office. So I was actually excited. I thought I was going to get a consultancy assignment. Maybe I'll make 5 or 10 million naira, put it in my pocket and enjoy myself. And then she asked me, she said, what do I do, Dr. Bindir? I said, well, you need to get somebody with 4 qualities. You need to get an academic, because they can write, they can do research, they can analyze, and so on and so forth. But if you get only academic, he will waste your time. He will waste your time with grammar. You will not proceed. So you need to get an academic who was also a civil servant, so that the civil servant will help you. This is a ministry. Otherwise, you'll be quarreling with the civil servant. So he will help you. Then, but if you get this, the civil service may take over his district. So you need to get somebody who understands political systems so that they can help, because this project is political. And then I said, finally, you need to get somebody who can communicate with the public. So I advised her like this. I left. I was at the gate of the building when she called, and she said, call Dr. Bindir for me. Then they called me and she said, Dr. Bindir, you have to come and do this work for me. I said, I felt very bad, because it's like I marketed myself. But then I said, okay. So that was how I became the national coordinator of the Social Investment Program, which is a very technical program. You need an engineer, a scientist, a natural scientist, and then it has a lot of data. So you need an academic capability. And you need to talk to people about poverty, make people happy, excite them. So that bit, you know, and then the politics too. Politicians are very selfish. They would want to take everything to their communities and so on. So my work as SSG in Adamawa State became very handy. So we've been doing that until the 29th of May, last month, or May, June, July, August, 3 months ago. I am now free. That is why I'm on the hot seat in the arena now. I am totally private sector and I'm free. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let me take you back to what you said when you say you were deceived to become the secretary of the secretary to the government of Adamawa State. How were you deceived?
Well, you see, there are only 2 ways that you can be pushed to take an assignment. Either you are deceived or you are convinced. And if you are convinced, it means you have your total control and you do analysis, you do bargain and everything. The deception was that they sent the former head of service of the civil service of the Federation, Alaji Sali Bello, who happened to be from my state. There's no way I can be able to say no to him. And then another senior director, Abdullah Ikari, who is late now, may God be with him. So when they came to my office and sat in front of me, and they continued telling me that, honestly, Dr. Bindir, you go there, this governor, you know, is technically not prepared. You will enjoy the job and so on. And I was looking at them. So the deception was, here I was feeling Dr. Bindir, don't go and join these politicians. They will mess you up. But then you have these leaders sitting in front of you who you cannot say no to. So I put the two together and I concluded that I was deceived because when I got there, it did not happen. So I had to, oops. Can you hear me, Ben?
I can hear you.
Ben, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
So all the things that they said that, oh, the governor will give you free hand, the governor will give you resources to do, the governor will allow, all that did not happen. And so I had to devise a new way of survival because I was already in it. I resigned my position as Director General NOTAB, and I'm now in Adamawa State. There's no way I could be unemployed again. So that is the deception, in my opinion.
All right. Still on Adamawa State, can you share some of the landmark achievements you recorded in Adamawa State as Secretary to Government of Adamawa State?
Yes, thank you very much, Ben. You see, Nigerians, in my opinion, don't understand that the actual problem of this country is in the state. Because I was there, I was at the federal level for a long time. I was a civil servant for a long time. I participated at the highest level for a long time. But when I hit Adamawa State, thinking that, you know, in Abuja, I may be sitting with you. You are an Igbo man. I'm a Fulani man. I may be with Engineer Olorufemi, a Yoruba man, or Professor Afobrode. So if we have our sentimental differences, it is Abuja. We'll say tribal difference, religious difference, and so on. So I thought, if I go to Adamawa State, these are my brothers and sisters. We are the same, and I will have a ball. I am telling you, hitting Adamawa State, I realized that that ball of social dynamics is totally a different thing. So I had to devise a way to survive. My achievements to survive is, number one, everything I used to tell the governor, he never used to believe it. He never used to just listen. So, but I realized that he likes himself. He likes to be pampered. He likes to be praised. So I use that character and I devised, just like the presentation I made for you, I made a presentation on Adamawa State on how good he is, but they are not lies. So one day, the World Bank came to visit us and I made that presentation. And the World Bank country representative made a statement to say that he has been to 30 states. This is the best state that he has visited with a good plan. So to a certain extent, I got that and I picked that as an achievement of a methodology of winning at least the face of the governor for you to make progress. Secondly, Ben, I managed to design and produce a development blueprint, a 15-year blueprint without any funding. And I used my influence as Secretary to the government, pulled a team together, guided them as a natural teacher, gradually. And in 3 months, we produced a 600-page, 15-year development plan. Not that but is there. Number 3, I am telling you my transparency and accountability experience from Abuja in terms of procurement. I was very strict, not to make life difficult for people, but to ensure that I don't go to Yola, lose my brand, and come back to Abuja and I'm cutting myself, going to EACC and so on and so forth. So everything has to be budgeted for. Every project that I recommend, the governor must go to the Executive Council and be approved. And you must have the Bureau of Public Procurement no objection. And until today, Commissioner Ben.
I can hear you. Go on, sir. Can you go on, sir?
So I now managed to, and I think that in the Nigerian context, an achievement. An achievement that I left I made in Yola. Yeah, can you hear me? Can you
I
hear
can
me,
hear you,
Ben?
sir. I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear
Ben?
you, sir.
Ben, it is your network. Hello?
Hello, sir. I can hear you. Can you go on, sir?
I think Ben is your own. My own is okay. Anyway,
I'm
so
okay.
the other achievement is I succeeded in getting the government of Adamawa State when I was there to meet literally every Wednesday. The State Executive Council was unfailingly meeting every single Wednesday. And at the end of the day, everything we had approved was in line with the law. And it has never happened. So there are many things that I have done there, but they are the traditional things that will make a system work. Budgeting was crispy. I pulled the team together. I guided them myself. We will sit down, set ceilings, get all the permanent secretaries to understand where we're heading to. I totally removed the tradition that I met there, where extra budgetary spending was the order of the day. And I said, no, everything has to be budgeted for you to spend money. And initially it was difficult, but they accepted it. And so I also designed some few poverty alleviation programs, but many that had something to do with spending money and getting people to be happy with the government did not go down very well because the politicians will not let you to go with that way and they want to do it themselves. So yes, a number of things.
Now, after your stint in Adamawa, you tried to run for election. Particularly, you tried to run for the chairmanship of the All Progressive Congress. What inspired you to contest, and what were you trying to bring on the table for the APC?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, going to Adamawa State turned me into a micro politician. I understood that if you're working under somebody in this Nigerian political system and you think you have ideas and strategies and they will go and be implemented, you're wasting your time. It's either you are the chief executive and you guide the system, or you just continue to fool around, maybe 10% of your ideas will be accepted. So after my experience from Adamawa State, and I said to myself, why can't I be the governor so that I can be able to change the system to the best of my ability? I considered that one. Then secondly, I said to myself, traditionally, if the governor that took me to Adamawa State was contesting, and I come to contest with him, it will be very difficult for me to actually knock him over. And it will be seen by people that he brought you, you probably stole money, they will give it a lot of definition, and they will deal with you. So I said, if the governor contests, I will not contest governorship. I will contest for senatorship, so that I'll try to do that revolution within my senatorial district for people to see. And then at a point, I said, look, this will just be Adamawa State. Why can't I be the national chairman of the APC? What is Adam Oshomole better when I compare myself to Adam Oshomole? Who is he? That was the radical way I was thinking of that. So I now started with the chairmanship. I printed posters. You know, in politics, you just make noise first before they even declare that there's a vacant seat. So I printed posters, I was doing social media and so on and so forth. And then I went to a meeting at the APC Secretariat and I noticed something about politics again. They normally share these positions. And if you're, at that time, somebody told me that the chairmanship has been drawn for North Central. So if you're from the Northeast, you're just wasting your resources and wasting your money. So he said, Dr. Bindir, don't waste your time. It is not going to go to Northeast. So that was how I withdrew, honestly. But I would have contested, let me be defeated. But I withdrew because there was that allocation. So I shifted to senatorship. That senatorship, I bought the form, 20 million naira. I went and I realized that you have to have many cars and security and a lot of money, none of which I have. So what I did was I just had 2 vehicles, no security with me. I went to the 7 local governments and I tried to deceive and convince the delegates. It didn't work, to be quite honest. I sweet-mouthed them, telling them that I will do the best, but everybody will say so. So, but I campaigned. We came back. Unfortunately, I was contesting with the son of General Nyako, who was the governor. The whole of APC was his own, and I stood no chance because the delegates are selected from the political structure and they will not listen to you. Even if they will listen to you, you have to give them 300,000 naira. It's a minimum of like 55 delegates. And there are 7 local governments. Intrigues of the politics. At the end of the day, with all the qualities that I believe that I had to deliver good governance, I got only 13 votes. The winner got 190 votes, and the second got 70. But at least I have gotten the experience, and my resolution after that is, if you want to do politics in Nigeria, whether you are an engineer or medical doctor or whatever, you have to be prepared. And the index of preparation is that you must have a lot of money.
Okay, let's leave Adamawa. Let's come back to Abuja, where you served from 2009 to 2015 as the DG of NOTAB. Can you also, in a nutshell, share some of the major achievements you recorded in NOTAB and how you, at the beginning of your service in NOTAB, did you find it any difficult in coping with the terrain then till you took the bow and left NOTAP for Adamawa State.
Yes, NOTAP was not new to me when I went there. When I was the Director of Technology Acquisition and Assessment in the ministry, I was the supervising director of NOTAP for a number of years. So when the vacancy for Director Generalship popped out at NOTAP, actually it was the minister, then Dr. Zaku, who is late, who encouraged me to apply, because I used to be very critical about Director Generals and heads of agencies. And I used to ask questions on, if you're not making progress, come here and tell us that you're having challenges. But you cannot all. We had like 48 parastatals there. Everybody will come, Naseni will come and say, we're doing very well. Nibri will come and say, we're doing very well. NOTAP will say, we're doing very well. So and my question will say, if all of you are doing very well, how come poverty is increasing in Nigeria? So now the minister said, there's an opportunity for you now. Go to NOTAP and do that revolutionary change. Let us see. So that was, I sat exam, I passed, I went for interview, I passed, and I went to NOTAP. I think Nigerians never knew what NOTAP was. NOTAP, when I went, was already a 30-year-old agency. Not many people knew of NOTAP. The first Director General of NOTAP spent 17 years there as Director General. The second one spent 13 years. Put together, only 2 people headed the agency for 30 years. So when I went there, it was actually not a very good institution, not to take anywhere from my predecessors. But the role of NOTAP was the technology acquisition, is that it's not acquisition locally. Coca-Cola, Nigerian bottling company, is bringing technology from outside to manufacture Coca-Cola in Nigeria and sell it to us. They are acquiring technology from outside, and Nigeria has to pay for that technology. And that is what they call as invisible costs. So NOTAP is supposed to register the agreement of bottling company, Nigerian bottling company, bringing managerial know-how, setting up the plant, the scientific ingredients to make Coke, and the formula, the temperature control, all of that are invisible. Nigeria must pay for it, for Nigerian bottling company to survive. And we were the people giving the certificate. So this is not just bottling company. Dangote Cement was doing the same thing. The banking sector was doing the same thing. The Ricket Bankiza was doing the same thing. Nestle was doing the same thing. PZ was, every company that you can think of in Nigeria imports technology from outside Nigeria, makes money in Nigeria, and Nigeria must pay for that technology. NOTAP's role is to see these technologies that are being acquired from outside and then look at our own knowledge system to see, why are we not doing this? Why are we not domesticating this so that industry will utilize our know-how, so that we can be able to save money, so that we can generate high-wage jobs for our people, and so on and so forth? That was the question for NOTAP. It has never been scratched. So I started, and you know, it's very troublesome. Industry can deal with you when you start asking questions like this. So I can tell you, I started this in a very radical way. I used to tell Indorama in Rivers, I said, if you don't share the know-how of cracking gas to make fertilizer, I will never sign your certificate. You can report me to anywhere you want. Etisalat, I will say, if you don't share the know-how of running a communication company, including MTN and so on and so forth, I will not sign your certificate. Many banks and so on and so forth. But the secret is you couldn't implement this if you are clean. If you take bribe, you can give them certificate. But if you cannot take bribe and also not give certificate. So I met it in this way, but I'm happy to report to you that I started the process of making industry respond, that if Nigeria has the technology, Nigeria will not pay for the technology. A good example I can give you is Computer Warehouse Group. It's an IT company. When I went to NOTAP, all the banks used to bring Indians and Americans for Indians for Finacle, Americans for Microsoft and Oracle and so on, Germans for SAP and so on and so forth. to install their software, manage it, and so on. I said, no. The management computer warehouse group, which is a local IT company, can do it. So you must give it to them. And I'm happy to report to you that as we speak today, Computer Warehouse Group is a multinational company. I pushed it, that all the management and service components of the agreement were transferred to them, and they were being paid money, and we save our dollars, and they're paid. So, and also I started a lot of things about, the industry supporting scholarships, so that these students can be able to go to their laboratories outside Nigeria, learn what they are doing, so that they can be able to lift our research to the next level. I also did a lot of technology transfer, education, intellectual property understanding, just literally to make Nigeria understand that all this research you are doing, if it is not taken up by industry, you are just having a game. And I'm so sorry to say that because it is very complex, Nigeria still has not understood this, but I did my best.
What was your major challenge in NOTAP?
The major challenge in NOTAP was that industry giants will fight you. I remember there was a technology transfer agreement that came to my office, and I studied it, and I refused to sign the certificate, and I was reported to President Jonathan. I was summoned to the villa. 4 people chaired the committee on me. There is no abuse that they have not abused me. I am this, I am that, I'm so on and so forth. But I stood my ground, and I told them that as far as I'm concerned, my job is this, and this company has not met this, and I'm not going to sign the certificate. After all, I'm only a regulator. My certificate goes to central bank. So why don't you just tell central bank to release the money? So you face this type of things at the highest level. At the lowest level, when you now try to tell researchers the kind of research that you are doing is not responding to the needs of Nigerian industry. When you try to do research, and before even the research matures, you've thrown it to the public, you are not responding to the standards of intellectual property. Again, the academia doesn't want to absorb this very well. I set up intellectual property and technology transfer offices in literally all the universities and polytechnics in this country. But I can tell you till today, and you can verify it, some of you here are gurus or university dons. Performance of universities in terms of registering patents and using those patents licensed to industry is literally at 0 level. And that is sad for Nigeria. So that was my challenge. But I think it is something that we have to continue to talk about.
You mentioned one of the challenges you had when you were reported to the office of the president. Yeah. Do you also experience interferences from maybe National Assembly or from the Supervising Ministry?
No, not quite, because what I enjoyed was not many institutions understood the actual role of NOTAP in Nigeria. I doubt it very much till today. If you are to ask the current Minister of Science and Technology, I mean, he's there just for some few weeks, but he must have had some experience. What actually is the role of NOTAP in the Nigerian economy? You will find it very difficult to explain. But the other interference that I found was the changes of the law by CBN. CBN, I think to a certain extent, has a number of committees that NOTAP is not part of. Therefore, I give you an example, Ben. You are designing a power plant in Nigeria. There is no power plant on the shelf for you to just go and buy and say, give me that power plant, you come and install. You have to do environmental impact assessment. You have to do a lot of fabrication and testing. You have to do a lot of material, but I can tell you all Nigeria are treated like by government, really in real sense of Nigerians in the technical operation. So therefore, we will never, if we continue like this, be able to design and install our power plants. We will never be able to design and install our trains. We will never be able to design and fly our planes, because all the agreements to do with the companies that are doing these things are literally treated at the lowest level at the central bank. They take the money, and the technology in Nigeria is not domesticated. I can't hear you. You are muted.
Now, let's go back to your family. You are an engineer.
Yeah.
I studied up to doctorate level. Can you share about, I have met your wife at several occasions, and can you give us some insight about your family? Do you have any of your children that studied engineering?
Yes, my wife is literally a facility management in quote engineer. She's a facility management expert. She works for Julius Berger, and she's very, very good. So we went to the same school. She was in Cranfield with me. That was where we met. So that is the beginning. The engineering relationship bloomed from there. My first daughter, Alimatu Sadia, got a first class in chemical engineering in Aston University in Birmingham. She's right now studying her PhD. My son, Yahya, is a software engineer. So the whole family has this technical background. And as you see me, it's very easy for me to retire because the wife is working and making an income. I don't need to buy her anything. She can buy it for herself. My son is on his own. He doesn't bother me to buy shoes or anything for him. My daughter, she's on her own. All of us is the engineering. The only other area where my engineering works is when it comes to my extended family in Yola. And I try my best to push them to mimic that every house should have at least one graduate. Once you have a graduate, there will not be a beggar from that house. Once you have a graduate, that graduate will set a standard, and maybe with a bit of luck, it will bloom. So yes, my house is full of technical people. That is why when you come to my house, you see a lot of things. Very difficult to throw things away when you're an engineer, and my wife doesn't like it. So I have all my old computers, all televisions, all printers, they're all in my garage, and she hates it. Something is telling me that one day they will be useful, even if it is opening it to share the knowledge with other people. But my house is full of engineers. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now, still going forward, let's come to the Society of Engineers. You are a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and a fellow of the Academy of Engineering and several fellows. When did you join the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and who inspired you to join?
Well, when I actually did not join the Nigerian Society of Engineers until I came back to this country in 1998. And the reason for that was I was a member of the Institute of Agric Engineers in the UK. I am a chartered engineer from the Engineering Council in Europe. So an NSC makes a provision that once you come with these qualities, particularly the chartered engineer status, your entry into the society is more or less automatic. So the inspiration I got to join was that when I came, I think I came back just before the General Assembly, and I attended the General Assembly from FIP because we were doing some few technical things. And I was impressed by the numbers of engineers. And that was when I met Engineer Ali. That was when I met Engineer Eze. That was when my friend, Engineer Njida, was taking me around, and I met all these big, big people. You were very young then. I met you also. And this introduction to these big wigs, Engineer Otis and so on, and then my late father too, as you know very well, we were all introduced at that time. So to belong to that group became something for me. So the motivation started from those leaders, and I started participating in the activities of the society straight away. And then for practicing, I had to also join Koren almost instantly. Koren too recognizes the chartered engineer registration. So I took my certificate, went to Koren and registered, and that was how I joined the NSC Koren family, and I have been with it ever since.
Now, you have been involved in several engineering activities and projects. Which of them can you, anytime you remember it, you can say, proudly say that I am proud to be an engineer?
I think my highlights in participating in the activities of both NSC and Koren is when I give presentations at the assemblies, at the general assemblies. You see, coming from out of Nigeria, seeing things, taking things for granted, I think you will almost automatically think that Nigeria could easily develop because you come with all these ideas. And then you see it's so difficult to even get the simplest things solved. I used to, me and Engineer Ali, we used to be embarrassed when we go to the AGM, and then you see engineers scuffling all over the place for spoons and lunch and so on and so on. We used to, you're pulling your hair out of your head. Now, talking to these young engineers, motivating them that the profession is unique, the profession is powerful, the profession can change the poverty profile of Nigeria, the profession can generate unity in this country, the profession can generate jobs, can generate progressiveness to the extent that we can industrialize this country is actually the highest excitement for me when I stand there in front of the General Assembly. And in most cases, they give me opportunity to give plenary presentations at the opening ceremony. You have governors, you have sometimes ministers, and all the bigwigs listening to you. I have done that with the academy. I have done that with Koren. I have done that with NSC. And for me, till today, sharing those experiences very, very graphically with practical experiences on the ground, not theoretical, not really discussing engineering in terms of drawings or design or theoretical implications, but practically trying to link poverty in the villages, why children don't have clean water, why schools, when we are civil engineers, are very badly built, why are the farm roads so bad when there are so many civil engineers, based on physical infrastructure. Why, all these things. And as you know very well, that's why I use pictures. All those pictures I used to take them. And each time I do my presentation, you will find that even the leading figures in the profession will now come and say, Dr. Bindir, what you said is right, but there is a price you pay. You pay the price because it gradually takes you away from the scientific writing. I am now not interested in writing technical papers with curves and graphs and so on and so forth, which is very, very theoretical to me. I like practical things. I like to say engineers can actually generate jobs at the lowest level. Engineers can design, make, test, and then commission groundnut processing equipment, puff-puff making, gari making, all Nigerian. This excitement to communicate with young engineers is actually the highlight of my participation in both the society and the regulatory organizations.
All right, as we wrap it up, have you had any major challenge in your life or career? And if yes, how were you able to overcome it?
Actually, if I say I have challenge, maybe I'm saying that I'm not grateful to God. I became a director in the mainstream federal civil service in year 2000. I was only 30-something. I was just about getting to 40. It's totally rare. And the reason how I got that was I was just at a place at the right time, and my technical preparedness, my engineering know-how helped me to do things correctly. And that correctly doing it made people to recognize, to say, this young man, if he does this, and that, we may get progress. So honestly, Ben, my career, I have not regretted leaving the academia. I still am academic. I still go to universities. I still give lectures. I still give convocation lectures. I still excite students. Therefore, although I'm not the kind of engineer that goes to the laboratory testing things and finding the right speeds and the material, blah, blah. No, no, no. Younger people can do that, but still I keep that academic. Secondly, I participate in how to make things, how to repair things, how to get things absorbed in industry. In a lot of industry, they still invite me to talk about intellectual property, to talk about absorption and so on and so forth. Third, politically now I'm getting into an area where I need to become a leader so that applied engineering can change people's lives, you know. So honestly, I have no regrets, and my career is flowing, and I'm even looking forward to possibly getting a job in this administration.
Okay. Okay, now, as we wrap it up, have you written any book, autobiography about yourself? If no, what will the title of the book about yourself be?
Actually, I have not. I have so much material, so many ideas on what to write about, but I have not started writing it. I can tell you the title of the booklet that will mark my own lifespan so far is Nigeria will never develop unless ... And inside the book, you will find what that unless is.
Nigeria will never develop unless ...
Nigeria will never develop. Nigeria will never industrialize unless, and I'll put ... 3 dots. That dots is the secret. When you go in, you will find that my academic experience will tell you that unless the education system is very, very serious and you motivate the teachers and the lecturers. 2, unless we take technology adoption, absorption, and popularization serious, it is not going to work. 3, unless we choose the right leaders politically to understand that technology and knowledge is the way to go. 4, unless we understand that all these sentiments that we radiate, you are Igbo man, you are a Fulani man, you are Yoruba man, and we're wasting our time, that it is technology that is the common line, so that if you are productive, you are employed, you have an income, to hell with anybody. If you can move into a fuel filling station, fill your car with full tank and drive off, who cares if you are even from China, you know? So there are so many of these experiences that I have seen physically as an academic, as a politician, as a civil servant, as a typical technocrat, as an engineer, as a researcher. These are the secrets that I would build in the booklet to tell Nigerians, unless we do this properly, we're just wasting our time.
Now, finally,
yes, sir.
After, do you have any plan to run for election in future? You have shared your experience with us. Do you still have plan to run for any electoral office again?
I have just started. There's no giving up. If come next round of elections, I will contest again. But now I know the secret. The scary thing is that you need money to actually deceive or convince people to elect you, because the objective is to be elected before you work. And to get elected in the psyche of Nigerians, money politics is the reality. How I'm going to cross that line, I am now having a lot of ideas on how to make a lot of money so that I prepare and then contest and win.
Wow. Thank you very much, Engineer Dr. Umar Bindir, for being our guest inside the arena for today. And we are going to be crossing over to the other side of the divide so that our participants can also ask questions. And we are going to be opening the arena for our participants to ask questions. If you have questions, you click the reaction button, you raise your hand, we unmute you to ask questions. For those who are just joining us, we have inside the arena the 23rd edition, Engineer Dr. Umar Buba Bindir, Fnse, FA Eng, former DG of NOTAB, former SSG Adamawa State Government, Engineer Dr. Hippolyte Onyekwere.
Good evening, engineers and colleagues. Can you hear me, Sir Ben?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. I can hear you clearly.
We can hear you.
I'm here once more to appreciate my great friend and academician, Professor Bindir. I listened attentively on this occasion, and I really got all he said. So this is the type of people we want in this country to direct our affairs. These are people who have seen it all, who have been there all through the years, who have a lot of experience, both managerial and technical. But I'm so sorry that he has not made a lot of money with which to get selected in this country. So I want Professor Bindir to please look for colleagues and friends who will help him to assemble a very large sum of money so that he can make it in the forthcoming election or selection. That's what I want to tell him. Please, I've been with you for so many years. I've participated in most of your presentations, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
So please look for money by all means. You have freedom. The way you give people things freely is not helping issues. Look for colleagues who are rich so that they can give you support.
Okay, sir.
I really appreciate you, sir. Thank you. You are a great man.
Right. That's a
Thank
comment.
You,
we have the floor still open for the next 5-10 minutes. If you have question, please can you click the raise hand button so that I can ask your question. Okay, we have Patrick Obidoyi.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Ben Osioko, and also thank you so much, Dr. Bindir, Umar Bindir, for sharing your insight. I think my question is just very brief. The title of your book, as you said, will be Nigeria Will Never Develop ... And you've given one insight, which is on education. Can you share at least 2 other areas you would want Nigerians to concentrate on developing to enable us? Because I share with you that frustration, the fact that knowing that you've been outside the UK in Cranfield, which is a very good university of technology, and coming back to Nigeria thinking you can make a lot of changes. I share that frustration as well. Being in Manchester here, looking back home and trying to make some changes in Nigeria, and it's very frustrating doing the little, some very little task, which you don't have to think about in the UK here. Yeah, so I think I would just want to pause at that, but thank you so much. I believe I've also listened to one of your lecture, I think to NSC Osogbo branch, which was equally very brilliant, I think about 2 years ago. So thank you so much, Dr. Bindir.
All right, thank you, sir. You can respond, sir, while we wait for others to ask the question.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. Yes, the title is Nigeria Will Never Industrialize Unless ... You read the book, you find, and the ... like I said, the first thing is, as an academician, I taught in foreign universities. I saw how teaching and research is guided to be relevant to the immediate environment. First of all, to the university environment, because you have to do good research to ensure that the ranking of your university globally is kept very well. Secondly, you have to ensure that your research and work and teaching must be reflective of the immediate environment. So including, agriculture, environment, everything is affected. So the tower of knowledge as a university radiates outside and you can actually see things happening. That is not what is happening in Nigeria. I go to give a graduation or convocation lecture in a university, and they give you the convocation booklet. And all you see in the convocation booklet is literally like an album. All these ETF, Education Trust Fund supported buildings, lecture theaters, even the landscape around the lecture theater is terrible. It's just a building. I have done this. A vice chancellor would beat their chest literally just to say, I have received money from ETF and I've established 3 or 4 lecture theaters, 1 laboratory. I think the convocation booklets should start radiating like, in the last 2 years, these are the number of specialized PhDs that we have produced. Based on this research, these are the number of research breakthroughs and findings that we have found listed that is good to deal with our agriculture, to deal with our water, to deal with our insecurity, to deal with our own infrastructure development. And all these intellectual property-based technologies are now either on the pipeline or is being taken by industry. So Julius Berger will be building houses for Nigerians based on Nigerian technology, not to go and start bringing, in this day and age, technology from Germany and build houses for our leaders. Every time you see a road in this country that our president or our governors are commissioning, you will see that Chinese or that Lebanese or that Indian at the back. It's shameful. So Nigeria cannot industrialize this way. Secondly, I think our research and development focus must understand some of our problems. Look at how primitive insecurity that is dealing with Nigeria is. We're talking of virtual reality. We've not done physical reality. We're talking of artificial intelligence. We've not done the natural intelligence that is here taking data from here and analyzing it. Bandits are stopping Nigeria. Nigeria cannot develop if we just continue like that. Thirdly, we must also understand that intellectual property maturity is the tool of trade when it comes to intangible knowledge. In Nigeria, you cannot believe it that there is no intellectual property policy in Nigeria. None. The patent office in the Ministry of Trade. The trademark office is in the Ministry of Trade. Copyright is in the Ministry of Justice. Not for technology, Ministry of Science and Technology. We don't have this synergizing. We just have spots and islands. Nigeria cannot industrialize if we continue that way. So there are so many factors, and until I'm sure, Professor, when Obama was president, you will go and take all his speeches. Every single speech of Obama, you will see a line or two to do with technology innovation. That is what creates jobs. That is what creates wealth. That is what distributes wealth. That is what will ensure that your youth is developed, and so on and so forth. Our presidents never use these statements. They don't even care about the knowledge system set. So unless our leaders are also doing this type of thing, Nigeria is not going to industrialize. So there are many factors of this nature that will be in this book. So that is literally to list more factors, but there are many more. Thank you, Prof.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Can we take 1 or 2 other questions so that we can wrap it up? Okay, Michael Adewite. Michael.
Okay.
Mike,
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Doctor. Especially being an alumnus of Cranfield too. It's a pleasure. Straight to the point. Well, thank you very much for the discussion, the discourse, and the points. My question really and heartbeat now is, how do we as Nigerians culturalize engineering? I know that's one of the underlying statements. How do we use engineering to address our own grown, or rather our community challenges at home, challenges confronting us right here in Nigeria. How do we, especially taking it to the professionals and of course, those in the academia, how do we culturalize engineering so as to link our challenges and then, have a better standard of life? Thank you, sir.
Ben, I can answer.
You can go on, sir.
Okay. Oga Adegbite, thank you very much. This is a very, very simple question as far as I'm concerned. You see, engineering has a realistic leadership. I've been part of this NSE branches in every state, then NSE, all the chapters of the professions, and they keep expanding. Then the regulatory organization, the COREN, is there. These are very, very well structured. In my opinion, the society and COREN must take the additional responsibility and stop mimicking government. What I mean by mimicking government is that you always say, we have ideas, we need money. We have ideas, nobody's talking to us. Nobody will talk to you. Nobody will give you money. You see, Ben, as a chairman of this branch, did a project, and I was very, very excited. Nobody said there's a budget. Ben, go and put water for poor people somewhere. There's a borehole, solar powered, there's overhead tank, fantastically constructed by Nigerians. Water is running. We need to do more of this. Wherever we will get money, whatever we can tax, don't ask government to, don't give government condition. They will not listen to you. We are the government. Many of the engineers that you see in government don't even bother about NSC and COREN. So the society and COREN, all these branches must say, look, engineering is a noble profession. It must be able to be used first to conquer poverty in this country. That is the basic thing. I have not seen a country where their engineering is sitting together with poverty, and poverty is getting fatter, and engineering is saying, oh, we are good engineers. If engineering and poverty is sitting together and poverty is getting fatter, then that engineering is either bad engineering, the engineers are not very good, and they are not inactive. Engineering normally swallows poverty. Engineering will make sure that it provides water. Engineering will ensure that the healthcare and practices are there. Engineering will make sure that young people have skills. With skills, they can do jobs. With jobs, they can have income. With income, they can marry, they can build their houses, and they can live peacefully. Engineering can ensure that there is infrastructure. This is engineering. But here we are, when we have an AGM, thousands of engineers, they don't even vote. I am telling you, if you were to have a form in an engineering general assembly, tell us if you are registered, you have your own voting register, you will be shocked. These things are simple. They need to be solved. If I were chairman like Ben, I will say that every single member of NSE Abuja must also give me their own INEC registration to vote. These are common sense things. So, Oga Adegbite, yes, we can be able to do this. There was a project that I floated to the last president. I said, President, why can't we beat our chest and say that we are going to build a skill acquisition center, 6 in the 6 geopolitical zones, and beat our chest and say that every year we are going to train 1,000 young people how to lay bricks, how to cast bricks, how to roof, how to maintain rural roads, how to process agriculture. And what is the big deal there? How to get the money should be part of the engineering. But our own is that we believe that we have the design concept, we can even produce the engineering drawings, and we are waiting for government to give us money to go and establish this workshop. That is never going to happen. So it's simple and it's difficult. But I think the society, as organized as it is, the leadership should mature or graduate from thinking in the political way that our political leaders are thinking. I think if it happens, the politicians too will listen to us. Every senator, there are 109 of them. Once they see that their own constituents are getting trained, I think they'll be interested. There are 360 members of House of Reps. When they see their constituents, they are getting training on how to repair vehicles, how to lay bricks, they will be excited, and so on and so forth. So somehow, we have to excite the politicians using technology to create jobs, to create wealth, and be able to forge peace and progress. And I think that way, we can be able to change our country gradually. Ben, you are muted.
Thank you very much, sir. I think I saw Tio Yakubu before. Tio
Yes,
Yakubu,
sir.
you are the last
Yes,
person
sir.
we are taking.
Okay, thank you, sir. I really appreciate your role you have been playing, sir. Engineer Ben, and the doctor, we have Dr. Umar. I'm so excited. So I'm always glad to be in the arena. Sir, my question is, when you were summoned by the then President Goodluck Jonathan, that because we refused to sign a document because there was no knowledge transfer. Now, what was his reaction and what is the way forward? Has there been improvement in that aspect where you are occupying that office till now?
Ben, can I answer that now?
Yes, you can, sir.
Let me give you the trick results there. So, two quick answers. One, I was reported, is a telecommunications company. A telecommunications company brought an agreement to NOTAM to do with the image. You know, MTN has MTN, that is their logo. So they said they want to register their logo as a technology, which Nigeria will pay for. And it costs billions of naira. So they brought the agreement because they're making a lot of money in Nigeria, they want to take it out. So I said to the company, no, I register Maggi of Nestle, and they give them approval to transfer money because Maggi as a trademark, Maggi is manufactured from soybeans. They buy the soybeans in Nigeria. So the Nigerian farmer is involved. They ferment the Maggi here in Nigeria, in Agbara, in Ogun State. So there are Nigerians working, and they make the cube there before they wrap it. So that trademark, I can approve for it. So I asked the telecommunication company, what are you making that this logo is marketing in this country? They couldn't answer. So I said, I will not register it. You can report me to anywhere. So what happened was, when they took me to that, and then they set up a committee, and the committee, very big people, they came, and I didn't know. I was very naive. It was a secret. In fact, the person who came to register the agreement lied on my name to say that I asked him for money, and he refused to give me money. That is why I refused to register. So with that, it was very exciting for Nigerians that a director general would be caught red-handed on corruption charges. So I went to the committee. I didn't know. So in the introduction, they said, so now this government will not tolerate this compromise, blah, blah. So after I explained, and I said, well, that agreement is an agreement for a telecommunication company. The only thing that I can approve for a telecommunications company is software, because we are not making these specialized ones. And software, you license it based on users. So if you have 25 users, you have 25 licenses over a period of time, I can calculate that. It's very easy, I can approve that. So if you sell users for 1,000 and so on, I will ask you, where are they? And I will go there and monitor. So anyway, after the discussions, the chairman of the committee, I said to him, still, as we speak, that agreement is not registrable. Then they started abusing each other, and at the end of the day, it was very open there who said it, and they apologized to me. And they even gave me a written apology. The foreign company, the manager from that foreign land, came to my office in Nota to apologize for me with a card to say sorry. Finally, the second one, a company was established in a free trade zone. And that company now wants to sign a technology transfer agreement in Nigeria to take a lot of money out of Nigeria. You see, free trade zone is like a foreign company. It's a foreign country. You don't have corporate affairs commission certificate because you are free. And you can sell your products in dollars. You are treated like a foreign company. So thinking that we don't know what we are doing, they brought that agreement. So after I studied it, I said, no, sir, your company is sitting on a free trade zone. Your agreement cannot be registered. If I register your agreement, I might as well start registering UK companies and Ghanaian companies to come and carry Nigerian money. So again, they went and reported me. Still, they said I was compromised. So that particular one in Jonathan's time is this one. So we sat down, they abused me, they did. So I put my hand like this. I said, Excellency, he said yes. I said, I needed only 2 documents from them and I'll give them the certificate. He said, what are the documents? I said, I wanted their Corporate Affairs Commission registration and I wanted them to give me their TIN number, tax identification number, and also their tax certificate. When you are on a free trade zone, you don't have these 2 certificates. You are not registered with Corporate Affairs Commission and you are not paying tax here. But the vice president didn't know. So he turned to them and said, how about these 2 papers that you can give now? I said to the vice president, I said, sir, if they give me the papers now, before we get to my office, the certificates will be ready. I will go and sign them. So we shook hands. And when we went out, the MD now told me, he said, Dr. Bindir, why are you doing this to us? I said, what, sir? He said, you know we don't have Corporate Affairs Commission registration. You know we don't have tax clearance certificate. I said, why didn't you tell the vice president there? He said, no, you have to help us. I said, no, you went to portray me as a terrible Nigerian, that I asked you for money, that I am compromised. You are on your own. But anyway, as you know, Nigeria too, you have to do it nicely. I said, okay, there's only one way that you can be helped. They said, how? I said, if I take you to the chairman of my board, who is my permanent secretary, they can overrule my judgment. The chairman will say, Dr. Bindir, this project is in the national interest. Approve. And I'll go and sign your certificate. They say, okay, let's go. So we drove to the ministry. I put them in the anteroom of the permanent secretary. I got into the permanent secretary and told the permanent secretary the whole story. Ma, it's a lady, ma. They took me to this, they did this to me, we had the meeting, this is what we concluded. So the only way is that you can help them to overrule on my decision. I will send the file to you. She looked at me and said, hey, Dr. Bindir, so it's me that you want to go to jail. I'm not going to see them. Oh. Please take your people away from here. Don't bring them into this place. So I said, ma, please help them now. He said, no, these people, they're devils. So when I got out, I told them, I said, I went and I met the permanent secretary sleeping on the couch. I tried to wake her up. She didn't wake up. Let's assemble tomorrow so that we can see. That was how I got them out of that office, and we never met again. But I mean, somehow they got it, I think. So these are some of the things with that no-tap regulation. And if you don't do this, it's part of that book. Nigeria will never industrialize if you open your gates. Every garbage technology is coming and taking your money out. To me, the most disappointing thing is that look at the trains that the Chinese are making. Even driving train, Chinese are driving. And we allow it. When will we make trains? And when our young people are now stealing the bolts and nuts, that now it makes headlines in Nigeria. Nigerians are still, it's so primitive. You know, we sit like that. That is why we don't have refineries. Because we tolerate these things. That is why we have rubber in Edo State and Delta or whatever. But we cannot manufacture any tire. All these millions of vehicles that you see, every single tire is imported, including Keke Napep tire. This is shocking. It's like we're mental, you know. But then I will go on and on and on about this, but I had a lot of fun in NOTAP. But you will leave the seat without a penny. You know, normally when you bend, you get something in your pocket. When you don't bend, they only abuse your father. But my father, he died in the 80s, so it has no effect. They continue to abuse him, no problem. So
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Engineer Dr. Bindir, for being our guest inside the arena today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I think at this point we have to be wrapping it up for today. We've had a very wonderful time with our guests, and we are going to be going to the next segment of today's program, and that is the extra time, and that is when we ask questions. If you look at my hand, you will see this beautiful tab donated by Engineer Bindir. I will be asking a question now. And once we ask the question, the first person to send in the correct answer, we get this beautiful tab. And we have a rule. If you send in the answer before I finish asking the question, you'll be disqualified. So get ready. Once you hear go, you send your answers. In what state did Bindir had his NYSC? Go.
Wonderful.
States.
Mathematics. You put everything. They already know what you are going to ask. This guy.
Engineer Bindir, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please, can you look at the chart and look at the first correct answer?
If you look at the timing, oops. Yeah, chatting us again. What is the first answer is engineer. No, wait, is it, am I reading from the bottom or from the top?
From the top, you scroll to the top to bottom.
If I scroll from the top, because the time, they all seem to have answered at exactly this.
The first person you are seeing that sent in.
The first is engineer Atadino, Zakibiam, Benue State Mathematics. This is comprehensive.
It's a comprehensive.
Yes.
So that's
Zakibiam.
We take that as a.
That's the first one I saw. Is engineer Atadino. His answer is Zakibiam. Yes, that's where I served. It's in Benue State, and I was teaching mathematics. Yes.
All right. Okay. Can we see your face, Engineer Dino?
Engineer Dino, your face. There is Engineer Dino there. Maybe he was a student there when I was teaching. Leave him. Ben, you are muted. You are muted, Ben.
Okay, Dino, we want to congratulate you for winning today's edition of Extra Time for Inside the Arena. You have won for yourself a beautiful Samsung Galaxy Tab A. And you'll be picking it between now and the next 3 working days. If you fail to pick it in the next 3 working days, the next person that answered the correct question, it will be presented to the person. Congratulations. And once again, to our guests, we say
Ben, you are muted. Ben, you are muted. Ben, you are muted.
We appreciate you for the great job you have done for the nation and for the wonderful services and sacrifices and commitment to this nation. We pray that God will continue to bless and keep you. And to all the participants, we say a very big thank you for participating in this edition of Inside the Arena. See you next month. And by God's grace, it shall going to be a very wonderful one. I remain your host, Engineer Ben O.C. Oko, signing out. Thank you.
Thank you.